Good day, Tanjayanos. Tanjay City is considered as a sleeping drug heaven in Oriental Negros. Substance abuse and shabu trafficking in Tanjay had become so alarming then, with a series of shooting incidents in the antecedent, putting more stain on the already marred reputation of our beloved locale. Being once tagged by the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency as a drug haven in Oriental Negros. That is, because there are a number of police officers who are found positive for drug use after a random drug test. This includes possession by the said police officers, cuddling of personalities, the act as protectors, and of course, actual pushing of drugs. 5 of them were dismissed from the service. 4 of them were incarcerated. The city of professionals, then Tanjay, has turned overnight as a sin city on the gravity of illicit drug trade that is being shielded by the prominent political figures, court employees, and some scalawags in the law enforcement service. 4 years ago, when dangerous drug supply in the capital city, Dumaguete City, was reduced due to a series of police operations, Tanjay has been made as a transit point and the primary source in the province in the drug distribution. That is due to laxity of the local authorities of Tanjay and through involvement and tolerance of politicians. Therefore, the brand. The place has actually registered 14 drug-related unsolved killings. How about the present condition? Is it the same as of before? Is there really a drug lord in Tanjay? A non-native Tanjayanon named was the first distributor with no street pushers at that time. Users just proceeded to the peddling area and enjoyed local police protection by the certain station who frequently ask ammunition for handguns and sometimes cash in exchange of no police intervention. He was, however, expired thereafter by the Philippine Constabulary. That was the presumption. Shabu had only landed in Tanjay in the mid-80s. And in fact, a name of a Tanjayanon appeared in the national newspaper as allegedly involved in the drug trade in Manila, in the national capital region. There was no further news at that time. It was silenced. Then the rumor of a Manila-based businessman linked with 14-kit riot, although it was not confirmed considering the absence of great volume on the distribution and the demand for the stock. It was just considered as an intrigue. The evolution of the notorious drug personalities started with a transient fellow from a town of somewhere in Cebu. Then it became a family affair with 3 people who had already bitten the dust, and 2 others now staying in jail. Other drug-related killings followed suit, with the public impression that it was the police and the military who perpetuated, that they were involved. And of course, a few were anticipated to be an inside job among target personalities themselves. However, two of the most controversial incidents were that of Marlon Tomas Silva and a certain Bingucia. On March 2014, Marlon Silva of the Silva Group was involved in a standoff after engaging in a shootout with the police and was killed on the spot when a grenade that he was supposed to throw to the cops got caught in his bedroom curtain. With that of Mr. Binguchoya, the departed was gunned down after a day with the cockpit. In going home, he was tailed by the perpetrators and was struck with a submachine gun. He died. Also, a former policeman, Ray Antonio Saga, then presumed as a high-value target, was also shot to death after allegedly resisting arrest in a drug bypass operation in Sitio Matangad sometime on April 2017. But prior to that, an ex-cop, Joselito Dayo, was also shot, but luckily he survived. A fire officer was also gunned down due to a presumed lockhorn, again involving drugs. There is also a punong barangay who often gets high on his own supply, except for two lawmen who were involved in actual drug pushing by police operations or bypass. There were, namely the deceased Saga and an ex-PO1 now in the district jail. Most of these involved policemen were found liable for mere possession of drugs and having been seen positive result after drug test. They were not members of organized drug groups or syndicated crime groups. They merely acted by themselves. The trigger, of course, is to sustain their need for drugs, being hooked on the habit. Now let us talk about police assets. There are police assets who, after losing contact with their handlers, had gone off course and were arrested for drug peddling. The problem is, when they are no longer within reach of their handlers, that they became wayward due to the established mindset of impunity. When they were still working with the law enforcement agencies, they acquired the established impunity. Recently, a certain so-and-so, after being ousted as a jail guard of the Negros Oriental Detention and Rehabilitation Center for involvement in drug trade inside the facility or the jail. He was also shot to death by unidentified running in tandem assassins in Dumaguete City. He was also a former asset of the Provincial Intelligence Branch who was dismembered for having gone wayward. What about involvement of politicians? There is no single politician in Tanjay who is not involved either directly or indirectly in prohibited drugs. You may wonder why. I said so because there are rows wherein they themselves are involved as user, distributor, protector, cuddler, etc., so to speak. Nakakahiya. Nakakapanggilabot ng laman. There are those also whom their family members are engaged in the illegal drug trade. From son to brother to nephew, wife, etc., etc. In fact, a number of them were arrested, bringing their family name. Why is this so? It is because these people believe that they are untouchables. And most often, when they were arrested, there was a media blackout. During my time, however, we have a composite team operating in our area of responsibility. That is with the PAOK-TF. We raided the dwelling occupied by a brother of the dismissed mayor. It was followed by another positive operation of another member of his family. In fact, there was a priest who is reported to be a drug user and in association with dangerous drug personalities. As I said, politicians have supporters who are involved in illicit drug trade. With this, they exploited the information they received from these people during the political campaigns to destroy their opponents. Of course, the information was convincing enough via detailed facts. It is on this matter that a prominent public figure was tagged as a drug lord. As a former intelligence operative myself, I have heard a similar report, but not as detailed as they have, considering the actual and personal knowledge as an insider, like the issue on one placing packs of shabu inside the tire of a motorized vehicle from Uzamis. And that one also inside flower cargoes of domestic flights from Manila. Also the parents of drug users in Tanjay expressed their laments, gave some reports, but just the same, they are apprehensive to act as witnesses. Whereas, the program of government submitted by the mayor to the COMELEC last 16 October 2015 on paragraph 3, if I was, as I could recall, the creation out of various law enforcement agencies, anti-drugs, anti-trafficking, by the way, what kind of trafficking, and anti-illegal gambling task forces. He will create according to him and provide funds thereof. Question, what happened? Until now, I haven't heard of an anti-drug task force being created, except for what is inherent from the Philippine National Police and the DILG, like the BADA or Barangay Anti-Drug Abuse Council. Of course, this is self-explanatory, as you know, related to. However, a group called Tres Maries freshly surfaced in the intelligence community as peddling drugs in the urban locale of Tanjay. It is a wave of high-class society reportedly distributing drugs with strong connections. Until now, the identities are not yet disclosed. And what about the recent arrest of a public school teacher, where some people seem to justify his misconduct by sympathy to defeat the good sense of moral values? Well, let us not talk much about that. That he is not on the foreground, neither a victim. Although, it is totally ridiculous, as ironic, since the DepEd had recently sponsored a takbo kontra droga, which was attended by the local chief executive. As I could say, it should be, instead of takbo kontra droga, takbo, nandyan na sila. Ladies and gentlemen, for public information, the arrested teacher, Mr. Richard Rivera, is not only the public school teacher who is a shabu user. There are others. In fact, a high school teacher, a lawyer, a PNP officer, an engineer, and other professionals have occasional packed sessions and were accorded utter impunity by themselves. Mga walang hiya ang kakapal ng mga mukha. Sarap niyong batukan. Whereas, the habitual offenders in drug pushing in Tanjay are sons of retired policemen who were not only arrested for one occasion, but for several times, one of whom is the son of retired SP1 triple mamam. And sad to say that of my good friend also, Inspector so-and-so. Another one was the raid in Bae City on a compound of a Tanjayanon police officer as occupied by Muslim personalities. Also, because of drug vice, a lawyer and also a town sometime was separated from his wife, who had cohabited with a drug user, and another legal practitioner almost destroyed his profession due to drug use. He is now recovering, however. Well, now he's a good friend of mine. Supposedly, in the previous years, there was a suggested drug test from the government officials in Tanjay, but it was not realized, not materialized, due to the intervention of an official believed to be a drug user himself. If a drug test will be conducted today, I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that there will be some people in the city hall who will be found positive. From humble employees to ranking public officials, that's 100%. I can cut a finger for that. Now let us talk about the Blue Book. A whisper has been circulated to the intelligence community regarding the existence of a Blue Book. A Blue Book is a book containing a record of drug transactions, including a list of customers, expenditures, and other financial matters that can serve as an evidence for the involvement of prominent public figures on drug trafficking. It was the daughter of an arrested drug pusher who disclosed it. It is kept by his father in a government facility. But until now, there was no progress of an alleged investigation being conducted by the field investigators of a prominent drug enforcement agency. What the heck? Now let us go about narco list. The narco list for Negros Oriental. Many many people are curious why the names of prominent politicians involving drugs for Oriental Negros were not included in the narco list, when in fact their illegal activities are of public knowledge. I received an inside story from a fellow in the National Capital Region that a drug personality was in the drug list, but due to buyout and influence, validation was gone. Therefore, his name was erased. Erased. I can't speculate on that. Simply possible manipulation by the police on the station level. Again, on the station level. Via submission of the watch list, target list, and order of battle factor. That is considering the logistics assistance and the local intelligence fund from the LGUs. Soborno, Pailot, Pasakay. Of course, we can't discount connivance with the high-ranking police officers from the provincial level to the national level. Whereas, of the 5 narco generals or high-ranking PNP officers suspected to be involved in drugs, 2 of them were actually assigned in Region 7 prior to their retirement. In fact, General Marcelo Garbo, who was named by President Duterte as protector of drug syndicates in our country, was assigned as provincial director in Negros Oriental prior to his detail as regional director of Region 7 in Camp Sirio, Osmeña. Well, we can't afford to speculate. Mahirap na. On the local drug war, killing, when justified by circumstances that is directed for the common good, has its own glorification. War is allowed even before our time. The government is at war with drug lords. Therefore, necessary force is essential to stop the morally perverse and the crowd posing clear and present absolute and impending danger to the social order. Straight to the contingency are those concerning terrorists, drug lords, and the menacing criminal syndicates, where the state can barely succeed. Can barely succeed by the diplomatic means. As the saying goes, you cannot negotiate with criminals. In the drug war, ladies and gentlemen, there were 3 quarters who are responsible for letting involved personalities beat the dust or getting killed. One is the government, for which reason we already discussed. Then the drug syndicates themselves, killing their own people. And finally, the vigilantes, organized drug groups, kill their own people, including the regular customers, when they defalcate or embezzle proceeds, misappropriate organization funds, and or by failure to pay indebtedness. On one scenario is that a pusher procures stuff in Cebu via pay later mode. Then he also gets supply in Bacolod. When the drug supplier in Cebu asks for settlement of the delayed payment, he pays with the proceeds of the Bacolod group, and vice versa, just to keep the embezzled funds. When it was found out, he was shot for his unpaid enormous debt. The drug syndicate, doesn't care about recovering their losses, but on a matter of principle, to uphold respect. Aside from having their own hitmen, they also have allegedly active policemen to do the job. For vigilantes, however, Tanjay has none, except for Dumaguete City, where a number of drug personalities were executed even at daytime in public. Good for the capital city. Thanks for their public officers. Now let us talk about failure of law enforcement. As a former intelligence operative, I consider the failure to be directed at playful law enforcement and their place in the prosecution process. Based on my experience, there were prosecutors and court employees making terms with drug traders that, aside from manipulating cases resulting to dismissal and failure to prosecute, were the leakages on search and arrest warrants, ladies and gentlemen. Often, there were connivance with elected public officials. Therefore, the anticipation of a complex organized crime. This is true with my experience in Tanjay and Dumaguete courts, as I was assigned before from the regional intelligence to the provincial intelligence. However, there are officers of the courts, from counsels to prosecutors, that were killed in Negros Oriental, which are presumed and believed to be drug connected. With regard to law enforcement, it is undeniable that there were police officers and agents of the law doing head over heels in coddling narcotic characters from the tempting lucrative gains to drug use itself. This is why operations were dismally affected. Ang mga anay sa serbisyo ay di dapat magtagal sa serbisyo. Matamaan sana kayo ng kidlat. My dear Tanjayanos, it is high time to be united in waging war against dangerous drug personalities. This is not a trivial issue. We have been tagged by the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency as a drug haven in Negros Oriental. We have an unnamed drug lord who enjoys impunity, although it is a public knowledge. We have a series of drug-related killings. We have the most number of policemen, Tanjayanon policemen, being dismissed from the service. That is for involvement in the drug trade. Region-wide, province-wide. We have politicians and public officials who are either engaged or simply tolerant to drug trafficking. We have smugly complacent courts. We have ignorant citizenry who prefers watching showbiz personalities and celebrities instead of getting involved in the fight against drugs and corruption. May you all rot in hell. My dear Tanjanayans, on the recent development, however, 2 days ago, no less than the director of the PDEA himself, Director Aaron Aquino, who is also my Facebook friend, stated in a press conference that the recent narco list almost doubled. That is with the inclusion of congressmen and mayors. It almost doubled. This is due to rigorous validation conducted for now, which includes the NICA, or the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. Don't get too confident, Madam Butterfly. This is a welcome development. And I hope that those names who do not appear before will now emerge. In fact, I have sent a private message just this year to the PDEA director, who responded assuringly. We are thankful, however, the people in Negros Oriental, that we have Governor Will Ligamo, who can leverage the power and influence of prominent political figures involved in illegal activities, from organized illegal gambling to drugs. I am glad that my idol, Tatay Digong, declared that he will finish what he started with regard to his statement as quoted. With the remaining 3 years about sa droga, tatapusin ko. Tatapusin ko talaga. Sige po, tatapusin niyo po, mahal na Pangulo, para di pamarisa ng iba. Ikaw lang po ang may kakayanan, mahal na Pangulo. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. At least, there is hope for Tanjay. At least, there is hope for Oriental Negros. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good day again.